You're not going to believe what happened in this quiet, well-to-do neighborhood tucked behind the hills of Oregon, where secrets stayed buried for 4 long years inside a home that looked like any other on the outside, but was hiding something so unspeakable, so horrifying, that even the police chief was left speechless the day they opened the door. The same door that led into a nightmare no one saw coming. A nightmare engineered by a daughter who looked like anyone else, worked like anyone else, smiled like anyone else, and yet lived every day with 2 dead bodies rotting just behind a wall, and no one, not a single neighbor, not a friend, not even her own sister, had a clue until a single phone call shattered the illusion forever and forced the world to ask the one question no one could answer. What drove her to do it? What turned a daughter into a killer and a home into a mausoleum? What pain could be so unbearable that it twisted love into hate and protection into premeditation? Stay with us to the very end of this story, because every layer reveals a truth darker than the last, and trust me, you'll never guess the twist that unraveled it all. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, because this channel brings you real stories that cut deeper than fiction. Now let's get into the horror that unfolded inside 421 Whispering Pine Lane, where nothing was what it seemed, and yet everything, every whisper, every glance, every silence, was a clue waiting to be uncovered. It began on a cold February morning when police received a welfare check call from Rachel Morris, the youngest of 2 sisters, who hadn't heard from her parents in years but had always been fed stories, believable, elaborate stories, by her older sister Jennifer, the quiet, reclusive 36-year-old who still lived in the family home, claiming their parents were traveling, sometimes overseas, sometimes living off-grid, all under the excuse of their spiritual journey. But the truth was they'd been dead the entire time, their decomposed bodies wrapped in plastic and sealed inside the basement behind drywall Jennifer had built herself. But why? Why did she do it? What triggered the unthinkable? It turns out Jennifer had been living with their parents in what friends now describe as a suffocating, paranoid, emotionally abusive environment, where she was never allowed to date, never allowed to have friends over, and was constantly belittled, gaslit, and told she was mentally unstable. And over time, that pressure cooked inside her, silently boiling, until one night she snapped. Police say it happened in July 2019, when Jennifer claims her father struck her during an argument about finances and her mother screamed that she was a waste of oxygen. And that's when Jennifer allegedly grabbed the fireplace poker and bludgeoned her father, then her mother, both of whom were dead in less than 5 minutes. And instead of calling 911, Jennifer calmly went to the garage, retrieved contractor tools, and over the next 2 weeks, built a false wall in the basement, dragging both bodies down in trash bags, sealing them off, and then cleaning the house top to bottom. It was so meticulous that no odor ever escaped, no suspicion was ever raised, and Jennifer kept up the illusion with Christmas cards allegedly written in her parents' handwriting, forged emails to Rachel, and even voice messages using old audio clips stitched together by software she purchased online. For 4 years she lived alone in that house, surrounded by silence, painting, gardening, and hosting book clubs with people who had no idea they were sipping tea above corpses. It all unraveled when Rachel decided to surprise her parents for their 40th anniversary, flying in without telling Jennifer, who panicked when the doorbell rang, refusing to let her inside. Rachel grew suspicious and called the police, who performed a welfare check. And within hours the lie crumbled. Officers found inconsistencies in Jennifer's statements, and eventually, a cadaver dog picked up a scent in the basement, where they tore down the wall and uncovered the horror. But here's where it gets even darker. During the interrogation, Jennifer didn't show remorse, she didn't cry. Instead, she said something that chilled the room. "I gave them what they gave me, silence." When the news broke, the community was stunned, neighbors wept. Former classmates of Jennifer expressed disbelief, but Rachel said something no one expected. She told reporters, "I understand why she did it, but I never want to see her again." And when asked why, she explained that they both endured the same emotional abuse, but she chose to leave, to heal, while Jennifer chose revenge. And now justice, she said, wasn't about punishing Jennifer, but about honoring the fact that 2 wrongs never make it right. The trial is scheduled for later this year, with Jennifer pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, and Psychologists are debating whether years of coercive control and psychological trauma justify or explain such a calculated act. But the debate rages on, and you might be asking yourself, would you have noticed, would you have suspected the smiling woman at the grocery store who lived alone in her parents' house for 4 years? Would you have seen it coming, or would you have believed the vacation photos, the holiday texts? The carefully forged facade built not just to hide a crime, but to bury a lifetime of pain. This story isn't just about murder, it's about the darkness people hide behind closed doors, the generational trauma no one wants to talk about, and the dangerous silence that can grow inside someone until it turns lethal. And maybe that's the real horror, not just what Jennifer did, but what she endured in silence before she broke. If this story moved you, shocked you, or made you see the world a little differently, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more unbelievable real-life stories just like this one, because the truth doesn't just hurt, it haunts.